Greetings, I'm Sal Segoyan, and this is my review of Strandberg's new MIDI guitar, the Chameleon. In this video, we'll examine the guitar and the software and equipment I use for playing this innovative instrument. You'll even be able to download my personal setup files for your own use. But before we begin, for those not familiar with my YouTube channel, here's a short sampling of my work demonstrating my approach for integrating MIDI technology with the guitar. Enjoy. As you can see, I use Jamstik's MIDI technology to split the guitar into two rolls, represented by a bass line below a melody or a solo, to give the illusion of two instruments performing together. You can see why I'm excited about this new guitar. Anyway, let's begin the review with an examination of the physical instrument. This guitar is well designed and well crafted. The 25 1/2 inch neck has 24 frets spanning 2 octaves. And even though the neck is bolted on, the entire instrument physically resonates when played. The neck is shaped with Strandberg's EndurNeck design. This encourages my hand to use comfortable positions, making it easier to play those long series of extended intervals that are elemental to my music. And even though it is a full-size guitar, it only weighs 4 3/4 pounds. It's crazy light, but still feels solid and resilient. The quality of this guitar is readily apparent. As for the pickups, they're a pair of custom Strandberg string sensors, but for my music, I don't use them. Instead, I rely upon a special component that's nestled between the pickups and the tailpiece. This is the exciting element for me. The Jamstik 6-channel hexaphonic MIDI pickup delivers incredible accuracy and fidelity with very low latency. As someone who's struggled with MIDI guitars for years, switching to Jamstik literally changed my life. I was finally able to play the instrument with confidence without having to compensate for delays, artifacts, or response gaps. Their technology just works, and I've never looked back. As for the MIDI output, this guitar is unique. Some of the other MIDI guitars I've played relied upon special cables to generate the MIDI signals in a custom rack or floor unit. But with Jamstik, the processing happens entirely on the guitar itself through an implanted onboard DSP processor, providing accurate real-time polyphonic tracking. This means that each string can generate discrete MIDI message through a connected USB-C cable or a 3.5mm TRS MIDI connector, or even through a wireless Bluetooth MIDI connection with the computer. Imagine that, a guitar where by default cables are optional. Look, I'm in my 70s, and I've been chasing the notion of a digital guitar for over 15 years. This guitar is my dream axe, a combination of design and crafted elegance with superior electronics. It's a profound investment in my musical expression and direction. I'm so grateful that these two companies decided to collaborate on this innovative instrument. Now let's look at the other essential component to the MIDI equation, the software. An easy way to generate sounds with this guitar is to connect a MIDI cable between it and any of the hundreds of available third-party sound modules. Since Jamstik's MIDI technology is class compliant, it will work with any module that takes a MIDI signal as its input. But for my music, I prefer to connect the guitar to my laptop computer using a USB-C cable to generate and edit recordings of digital samples of real instruments, as well as synthetic leads and pads. How the guitar interacts with software depends on which of the three available MIDI modes it is currently set to use. With single channel mode, all MIDI signals are sent on channel 1, resulting in all strings sounding the same instrument, such as piano or a synth pad. With multi-channel mode, the MIDI signals are sent over 6 channels, allowing per string pitch, bend, and expression. However, with MPE mode, which is the Jamstik default, channels 2 through 7 contain MIDI signals for each of the 6 strings, along with channel 1 for extra messages, providing the most accurate and expressive output. For my music, I add more complexity by splitting the MIDI signals between 2 digital instruments, with the bottom E and A strings assigned to a bass instrument and the top D, G, B, and E strings assigned to a melodic or chordal instrument, such as vibraphone, piano, or even trombone. I enjoy playing both roles simultaneously, attempting to mimic 2 musicians performing together. So for my scenario, I use software to achieve multiple functions. 1 for device management, and 2 for live performance and recording. Let's examine both uses, beginning with managing the MIDI parameters of the guitar. The Jamstik Control app for mobile devices easily connects to the guitar via its built-in Bluetooth support. This enables me to access and adjust all of the available MIDI parameters, including string sensitivity, an open string tuner, and advanced controls, all without requiring my iPad to be physically connected to the guitar. It's very handy. But on the computer, I use another application from Jamstik. Jamstik Creator is designed to function as either a standalone application or as a VST, Pro Tools, or Audio Units plugin. This means that it can be fully accessed from within most DAWs like Logic Pro, MainStage, or even GarageBand. Jamstik Creator also can be used for sound generation, using installable collections of presets called packs. In addition, the app can be used to create your own synthesized instruments using the provided digital oscillators, with controls for waveforms, envelopes, filters, and macros. And the interface also provides full access to all the guitar's MIDI parameters, as well as ensuring timely installation of firmware updates. Those are the software tools I use for managing the MIDI parameters of the guitar. Next, let's examine the software I use for the performance and recording of my MIDI-generated music, beginning with Apple MainStage, a music application designed for live performance. It enables musicians to create custom controls and interfaces to the Logic Pro architecture, exposing its extensive library of virtual instruments and effects. The application interface is composed of 3 sections. On the left are a list of concerts which are folders of patches. On the right are the channel strips that will be used in the patches, and in the center is the workspace where you can create custom visual interfaces with buttons, meters, and controls for adjusting the parameters of the corresponding channel strips. Here I've selected one of my favorite patches, featuring digital samples pairing an upright bass with a vibraphone. And here is the leftmost channel strip for that patch. This channel strip is mapped to the output of a specific string by selecting the Assignments and Mappings tab in the center panel and right-clicking the first listed input to reveal its parameter. Note that the input device is set to the MIDI out of the Jamstik, and the channel is set to 2, which, as we saw earlier, is the first channel of the guitar when it is set to MPE MIDI mode. For the visual interface, I've added 6 volume sliders with corresponding pan knobs and glowing activity indicator. To the left of the sliders are a list of patches that's placed above a button for triggering live audio recording to file in uncompressed wave format. A selected interface control is mapped to a channel strip function in the area below the workspace. Here I've mapped the leftmost slider control to the volume attribute of the corresponding channel strip. The digital assignment assigned to the channel strip can be changed to any of the hundreds of Logic's professionally sampled natural instruments. I like using upright bass, but sometimes I use a pick bass as well. When MainStage is placed into presentation mode, the custom interface controls are displayed full screen and can easily be viewed on a darkened stage. Of course, the custom interface controls can also be mapped to a USB-connected control surface like my M-Audio iControl unit, which I keep close at hand in the performance area. My performance setup is completed by connecting the computer to an iRig Duo USB audio interface that sends the stereo audio output to my Bose L1 system via a pair of 1/4-inch guitar cable. Resized to fit this slide, the Bose L1 is actually around 6.5 feet tall, containing dozens of high-quality speakers and woofers to deliver a balanced, realistic sound. It's quite incredible. So that's my live performance setup. Let's examine the software I use for recording. I record the MIDI output of the guitar using Logic Pro. As you can see, there are 6 tracks, 1 for each string, and 6 corresponding channel strips. I usually arrange the tracks so that the top track is mapped to the low E string of the guitar, followed by the track for the A string placed below the top track, and so on. All 6 tracks are then armed and recorded together. Once the recording process has been completed, I select the 2 tracks that are mapped to the output of the low E and A strings and choose the Bounce and Join option from the Edit menu, resulting in the contents of both tracks being merged into the first track, which is sounding upright bass. Next, I repeat those steps for the remaining tracks, combining their output to the third track, which is sounding the vibraphone or melodic instrument. The result is 2 tracks containing the output that matches my initial Split-MIDI or dual roll setup. And that is how I use software to manage, perform with, and record the Strandberg Jamstik MIDI Guitar. I believe the best recommendation I can give for this remarkable instrument is to play it. So here's my arrangement of There Will Never Be Another You. Cheers.